Welcome to Brand You.
The ultimate personal branding podcast.
I'm Kaz Grant.
And I'm Toby Lee.
Together, we're here to help demystify personal branding
and to make it accessible and effective for everyone.
Follow along as we guide you through creating your own personal branding journeys.
So, let's get started.
Let's brand you.
Hey everybody, welcome to a special guest episode of the Brand You podcast. We're very excited to have on today's episode, with over 27 years experience in the online world of social media, TikTok expert Paul Kemshell. How you doing, Paul?
Hello. Yes, very well.
Do you want to give us a little... Sorry, cut you off. It's going well. Do you want to give us a little rundown of who you are and your businesses and how you came to be in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm based in Lincoln. Moved to Lincoln 6-7 years ago, and as mentioned, I've kind of done various business activities over the years. I'm a graphic designer by qualification, and spent my first 10 years designing for print, which then kind of morphed into designing for web. Built a number of interesting web projects over the years. But today I kind of split between a relatively traditional marketing business where we're helping brands find customers online. But I guess why you've invited me on to your marvelous podcast is we've really set up a separate little business that's really delving a deep dive into TikTok. So I found myself nearly 3 years ago, spending 15-20 minutes a day on the platform. And I figured I wasn't the only 47-year-old man using TikTok. So I thought I'd want to really kind of get into the details, learn how the thing works and see where the opportunity lies. So 2.5 years later, we employ some content creators here in Lincoln and make a lot of TikTok content.
Love that. So, Paul, I think lots of people watching this will be thinking, like, they might know a bit about TikTok, they might not. They might just think, oh, it's another social media platform. But, like, what actually is TikTok? Because it's a bit different, isn't it?
Are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok.
I'm not on TikTok. So you've kind of got a nice balance here of...
So I think this is a very key question, because I think it's a mistake to categorize it as a social network. It's not massively social. It is entertainment platform for the mobile phone. It is where you go to be educated or entertained, rather than massively connecting with people. I know you've covered the platforms at length over the podcast, but really in simple terms, Facebook is often a lot of our history. There's our family on there. There are people from our past, and yes, we do have some new friends on Facebook, but it's very much people you know and have known. Where Instagram moves us very much into a current moment, and yes, there are people we follow that we might not know, but there are a lot of people that we've met in the real world that we follow on Instagram, and the majority of us have posted on Facebook and certainly Instagram, and stories are nice and easy. Where you move into TikTok, and it more often than not, you've never met the person that you are viewing, and often not even commented on a post. It's more looking into the future, and yes, you do collab with people that you see on TikTok, but the default isn't my local community, where often the mainstream social platforms, we have met the person, or it aids us meeting that person.
So I've got a term I affectionately call people that don't like engage or comment or anything, called lurkers. Mean that with love.
Yes.
And I guess, does that lead into more then with TikTok? You get more lurkers, but you don't necessarily get more people liking or engaging, or is it lots of people like still, but they won't chat to you as much?
Yeah, I think. I mean, there are obviously the comments and the likes are still absolutely critical on TikTok, but I I think it is more passive. It is more. It is you are watching and you are being entertained. I mean, I view. I back in the day, I'd come home from school and at 5:10 I would put Home and Away on, and then we'd go straight into Neighbours, and we'd have 50 minutes of Australian soap opera, and that's what I did every day, along with almost everybody. There's now a handful of people I follow on TikTok that it's a soap opera. I kind of delve into their life. I may engage with 3 or 4 minutes of content a day with people. They have no idea who I am, but I've vague. I think TikTok, you are either intrigued by the people you follow, or they're educating you, or they're entertaining. They're funny. They're engaging. Um, I think TikTok is scary and easy in equal measures. It is. There's a hurdle to get over to get on there, but I think as an app, other than YouTube, and clearly lots of people have not posted on YouTube. Um, the proportion of watchers to posters is much higher too. But TikTok's the next one that millions of users that have just never posted and never intend to post. Where
That's
Yeah.
really interesting, isn't it? And I like
we
the
encourage people to get on there.
and I like that you mentioned educating in there, because I wondered when you described it as an entertainment platform, like, is there still space for kind of value sharing from a kind of personal branding point of view, or is it more purely about making people laugh and getting engagement? And
So sorry. When I use the term entertain, I would describe educational as entertaining. It is valuable content. So it isn't totally not. It started as a lip syncing app, and people were dancing, and that that probably still exists, but that is not what TikTok is. If you um, want to share tips on how to take better headshots or why you need a headshot, it's absolutely a platform that you can deliver that. And um, one of the key differences between some of the platforms is we build an audience on LinkedIn by engaging with people, by meeting them face to face. You engage with people, and you, you comment, and then there's a ripple effect out and people see. Whereas TikTok does more of your audience building. So you put content into the world, and it's if it's good enough, people see it. If it's not great, it won't get a huge audience. But that's not to say that there's not somebody out there who wants to watch content.
so, in terms of making the most of TikTok from a business point of view or personal branding point of view, what would you say are kind of like the best practices, particularly for someone like me who's never used the platform before? I wouldn't even know where to begin or how to make the most of it.
I think the strength and the weakness is in how broad it is. And I think there's always value in going niche on platforms. Um, People often talk about the TikTok algorithm. It is remarkably good at showing you content that you're interested in. It is very easy to change your feed by TikTok interprets a quick flick, a slightly hesitant, a rewatch, a comment. It kind of knows you almost better than you know yourself. And I would suggest as a sneaky little hack for people is actually engage with TikTok on multiple different accounts, because every TikTok account is different. There's this assumption that everybody's seeing the same thing. But if you massively engage with American politics, your feed is just American politics. I've not owned a television now for about 10 years. So most of my engagement uh, with news and sport is now on TikTok. So when the Ashes are on, my feed turns into a cricket feed. The rest of the year, I'm just not interested. So it really is good at showing you the content that you like. And then from a business point of view, it is useful. So as an example, we rented an office in Lincoln, the best view in Lincoln, almost. Great cathedral view. And I'm thinking this is perfect for live streaming TikToks because people can see the cathedral. Turns out nobody's interested in the cathedral. We need to put T-shirts. When we're live streaming selling T-shirts, we need to put T-shirts in the shot because people know, the algorithm know it's T-shirts. So for
Right.
Toby, if you were going to start a TikTok account, I would always start, "Hi, I'm Toby."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
algorithm will see this camera
Yeah.
and deem that this is a professional camera, and you so quickly, you as an experiment, Kaz, you go and Google TikTok search Canon camera on TikTok, and you watch 2 videos, and then every 6th video will be about camera equipment.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense actually, because I follow lots of runners and that's all I see is runners. Everyone's running on my TikTok.
Absolutely. And I think, Kaz, you've done the right thing in that you on Instagram, you post quite broadly, and we see work, and we see health and fitness and your dogs, where your TikTok account is more fitness focused, and then you're often in the gym, in gym wear. It kind of then, the algorithm knows that is what the content's about. Um, so the algorithm should be embraced. It finds content that people want to see. So if you're a vet, you need to have animals in your shop. If you
An
you
estate
know,
agent have houses behind you, like the houses
yeah,
that you're selling.
and green screens can be, production values are so low on TikTok, and it's fascinating whether it was because it really got its growth in the pandemic, and nobody was filming in studios, but you don't need it absolutely doesn't need to be fancy. So you'll often find, I'm not a massive football fan, but there's a couple of content creators, because I wouldn't invest 45 minutes into Match of the Day now, because I can get it in 3 minutes on TikTok and literally everything I need to know. But you will often find then that football content creators have then got a green screen of people playing football. There's football clips playing behind. And again, the algorithm knows that this content's about football.
Right.
Um,
I
I mean,
always wondered
we
why
actually had
people share that.
a situation where one of our TikTok brands is a merch business. So we sell T-shirts, and right at the beginning, we were doing unofficial merch. So we'd be doing stuff inspired by Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, Formula One. We've stopped that now, but we completely confused the algorithm, because we'd be talking Harry Styles, and then we'd be talking F1, and our audience got mixed up, and it really didn't work as well as going, we are a um, you know, oh, this is a page about headshots,
Yeah.
and whether that's about how to take better headshots or why you need a headshot.
Yeah.
So I would always recommend niche.
So
That's
is
really-
is it a space that any business or any service could be using? So say you take like something that's more admin based, like an accountancy, can they be using TikTok, and how would you recommend a service like that use it?
Um, well, the short answer is absolutely yes. I think you do need a person of personality to be
Yeah.
fronting that. It always helps if you are comfortable in front of a camera. There are no end of tips to be sharing. I mean, I would always subscribe to the notion that you give value away, and things will come back in greater degree. You know, if you if you talk about the best shutter speed for a portrait, yes, somebody might not need to come and use your service or use a window for lighting. But the reality is, you just get you highlight it. You're practically showing us that you know what you're talking about. So we might as well come and buy our photographs from you.
Yeah.
So I think you can be talking about, don't forget such and such on your tax return, and kind of get that kind of giving value away. Uh, but it is a platform that needs a high level of investment of time. Um, I, having worked directly with TikTok through buying a lot of ads with them, their minimum suggestion is for an e-commerce business is 2 pieces of content a day and a 2-hour live stream every single day, which is a lot. There are plenty of content creators that will post upwards up to 30 pieces of content on TikTok because it is more disposable. It, more of it never gets seen. It's way less curated than our Instagram feeds. So yeah, it is a platform you do need to be posting every day.
Could you still take a piece of like long form content that you've been filmed talking about accountancy at Account X, and they've got the whole speech? Can you take snippets from that, post that on TikTok and break it up? Does that kind of thing still work so that you're
Yeah,
not having to physically
it's
create?
perfectly doable. The videos are getting longer and longer. So TikTok was 3-4 seconds. Now you can be much longer than that. I do think that the best wisdom would be to create content for the platform. I do think we're in a different mindset. I think if we open up Facebook, we're going to dwell a little while. We're going to be interested in a few of our old friends. Instagram, again, you're catching up with people. Where TikTok, you really can be on for just a few seconds at a time. Clearly, people do spend a long time in scrolling. Um, but yeah, it ideally you would produce unique content, but it's hard. How much time has everybody got for this content creation game?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing, isn't it? And again, it's a balance with everything, isn't it? Like what platforms you're on, how much time you spend on each one. If you have got long form content, obviously, then try and utilize that as much as you can, because then that's going to be easier for you, especially when we're talking like one man band kind of entrepreneur type people. You haven't got marketing teams and experts to be spending on
Absolutely,
each
yeah.
platform. Definitely. Yeah.
One of the ways to produce content for TikTok, and it works on other platforms as well, but is the kind of the voiceover content where you do a day in the life and it's very easy filming. But you're not talking to the camera, so really you can film your day even if you're shy. But then at the end of the day, you compile that video and um, just do a voiceover over the top of it, describing what you've done. Um, Again, it takes time, but that's often a good place to start.
Brilliant. I think that we need to dive into the hot topic of the moment with TikTok as well, and actually talk about, because this is the thing at the moment, isn't it? And this is going to depend when this comes out. So we're at the end of kind of January filming this. So a TikTok ban has just happened over in the US. It'd be nice to kind of dive into this a bit more with you, Paul, and get
Yeah.
your kind of thoughts and your opinions on so what's happening at the moment with TikTok over there, if it will be reinstated, and then also kind of is that going to have an effect on the UK or not? Because again, it's still here at the moment. Can we dive into that subject as well with you?
Yeah. Yes.
Go for it. So the TikTok ban at the moment, have you seen personally any impact of that happening with it being just in the US at the moment?
Well, TikTok is what originally was quite strict on its country borders. So each iteration of TikTok, you didn't have much bleed into other countries. That is less so now. But the ban only lasted 13 and a half hours, and we had lots of goodbye videos from American content creators. They're now all back. My view on the ban is I think the platform's too valuable to be banned. I cannot really believe it won't get sold. So what the ruling was that if the Chinese owners didn't sell it, uh, it got banned in America. Um, and love Donald or hate him, he is a deal making kind of guy. So I would imagine that um, somebody will acquire at least a 50% ownership, and it will carry on. Um, if that didn't happen and it was banned in the States, I think ultimately that will be the end of TikTok in the UK, because there will be pressure put behind the scenes, and in 6 months' time, I imagine uh, we will be pressured by America to follow suit, but who knows? I do think though that um, whether it's TikTok or not, I think TikTok is becoming a bit of a Hoover type term. So um, TikTok has so influenced every other platform now. You know, Reels, Shorts, everybody's copying the TikTokification of social media. So whether it is TikTok, there will be another short form um, video platform that will take its place. And I don't think we need to be too worried about what the platform is. There will be another platform.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
So
I
the
guess,
skills learned on this platform will be transferable.
yeah, yeah. And it just goes like to show that don't necessarily put all your eggs in one basket with your personal brand and your social media. Obviously, create to a level that you can create. And again, if you're a one-man band, there's only so much you can do yourself. But spread it a little bit so that if something happens to one, you have got the other. And maybe keep your content safe somewhere else so that if it does happen, you can easily upload that then maybe to another platform as well, and continue that way and grow on a different platform. It is an interesting time. I think, like yourself, personally, I think that it won't be banned because, again, he's a businessman. It's all business. There's money to be made through the selling of it. I think, and again, it's changing almost the way that we're shopping as a nation now and as a world. I can't see that just suddenly stopping and reverting back. I think we're going to go more and more into video sales and video, shops essentially. So yeah, I think it's hugely valuable. I don't think it'll stop.
Yes, completely agree. And shopping is absolutely where TikTok is. I mean, if you were to ask me what TikTok will be in 3 or 5 years' time, assuming it doesn't get banned, is it will be the biggest shopping destination on the internet. And it's the first time Amazon have had a rival. Um, but it will Amazon will exist, but I imagine you will go and buy your 3 meter HDMI cable from Amazon. But anything that can be sold via entertainment, because I think what we will find is you post a TikTok, YouTube filming your podcast, and automatically Kaz's pink shirt will be shoppable, and you won't even need to link it. The system will know, and you will earn £3 from every time that pink shirt gets sold, and you'll retire on the proceeds.
Get on it.
Told you should have worn a pink
I
shirt.
know.
So, Paul, you are actually one of our biggest fans on the podcast, so you know what's coming next. But we're going to ask you, so in the realms of TikTok, what is like an actionable step you think that our audience could take and put into place from this episode?
Yes. So obviously, start creating content could be one, but actually to make it more achievable is, I think, spending time on the platform in a disciplined research frame of mind, not just aimlessly wandering through. So maybe register yourself a brand new account and go and engage, look at, watch content of people that you think might be your audience. So, that, for you, Kaz, the kind of fitness people, those kind of influencers, kind of maybe people that are doing the healthy cooking kind of tips for getting your protein in before 11 o'clock or whatever that might be, but really watching that content and then seeing why the big creators, the people that are really successful on the platform are smashing it. And I think you will find there will be real consistency, whether that be the photographer that always starts from behind the camera, or the vet that always has a dog on its lap, or the chef that always starts with a mixing bowl and a whisk in the hand. Because the algorithm will just marry that content up. So research, get on the platform. Don't see it as a place where you waste an hour on an evening, but actually look to find what content is interesting to you, and see what the algorithm show you, and hopefully you'll be inspired to create some new TikTok content.
And also, I think like where other platforms you're pushing and trying to grow so hard whilst also creating content, this might actually be a nice one because your content's doing that pushing for you. So actually, potentially a really great space to go into and get your personal brand out there onto. Yeah. Thanks for that,
Absolutely.
Paul.
Yeah, thanks very much, Paul. I definitely need to go and put this actionable step into place. Give it a go. Yeah, thanks very much for joining us, Paul. It's been great to have you on the show. And show? Oh, that sounds really. We never call it a show. Why would we call it a show on the podcast? We really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
thanks so
Paul,
much.
if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out more about you, where can they go? Obviously, TikTok.
Yeah. Well, I'm Paul Kemshell on most platforms.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I'm sure people will find me relatively easily.
Absolutely. We'll pop your details in the show notes as well. So if anyone wants to connect with you, they can.
Marvelous.
Thank you very much.
So that brings this guest episode to a close. Thanks again to Paul for joining us and sharing some love about TikTok and how to use it.
Follow the Brand New podcast on Spotify so you get all the new episodes as they drop. We've got lots of juicy content coming out for you soon. And make sure you follow myself or Toby on LinkedIn as well so that you can get access to us. If you've got any questions to ask about personal branding or photography or anything like that, please let us know.
And then, Paul, you have the pleasure
Paul.
of signing us off.
So here's to branding you.
Hey, brilliant. Nice one.